The Pink Frog. Once upon a time, in a faraway land, there was a grumpy frog named Fred. Fred was always unhappy and never smiled, and all the other animals in the pond were afraid of him. One day, Fred woke up to find that he had turned pink. He couldn't believe it and tried to rub the color off, but it wouldn't budge. Chapter 1, The Pink Frog. Once upon a time, in a peaceful pond, there lived a grumpy frog named Fred. Fred was always unhappy and never smiled, and all the other animals in the pond were afraid of him. He would often scowl at them and complain about everything. But one day, something strange happened. Fred woke up to find that he had turned pink. He couldn't believe it and tried to rub the color off, but it wouldn't budge. Fred was horrified and didn't know what to do. He hopped around the pond, and all the other animals laughed at him. They had never seen a pink frog before. Fred was so embarrassed that he decided to hide under a lily pad and never come out again. But as he sat there, he started to realize that being pink wasn't so bad after all. In fact, it was kind of fun. The other animals noticed that Fred had been missing, and they went to look for him. When they found him under the lily pad, they were surprised to see that he had turned pink. They started to laugh and tease him, but Fred surprised them all by hopping out from under the lily pad and doing a silly dance. The animals were taken aback by Fred's sudden change in attitude. They had never seen him act this way before. Fred felt so happy and carefree, and he didn't care what anyone else thought about him. He even started to sing a song, and the other animals joined in. As they were all singing and dancing together, a group of ducks flew overhead. They saw the animals having fun and decided to join in too. Before they knew it, the pond was filled with laughter and joy. Fred felt like he was the happiest frog in the world. From that day on, Fred was no longer grumpy. He had discovered that it was okay to be different, and that sometimes, you just have to let loose and have fun. The other animals in the pond had also learned an important lesson, that you should never judge someone by their appearance. Fred had taught them all to embrace their uniqueness and to always find joy in life. Chapter 2, The Dance Competition. After Fred had embraced his new pink color and found happiness, the animals in the pond decided to hold a dance competition. Fred was excited to participate and show off his new dance moves. However, he was still a little bit nervous because he had never danced in front of an audience before. As the day of the competition arrived, all the animals gathered around the dance floor. There were frogs, turtles, ducks, and even a crocodile who was known for being the grumpiest animal in the pond. Fred was feeling a bit intimidated, but he knew he had to give it his all. When it was Fred's turn to perform, he hopped out onto the dance floor and started doing the most ridiculous dance anyone had ever seen. He was hopping, skipping, and jumping around, and everyone was laughing and clapping along. The other animals couldn't believe how much Fred had changed. They had never seen him so happy and carefree. As Fred continued to dance, he noticed the crocodile watching him from the sidelines. The crocodile had never smiled before, but Fred's dance had even managed to put a grin on his face. Feeling confident, Fred hopped over to the crocodile and asked him to dance. To everyone's surprise, the crocodile agreed, and they started doing the tango. The other animals cheered and clapped as they watched Fred and the crocodile dance together. It was like nothing they had ever seen before. Even the ducks who had flown in to watch the competition were amazed. When the dance competition was over, the other animals congratulated Fred on his performance. They all agreed that he had stolen the show with his unique and hilarious dance moves. Even the crocodile, who was known for being grumpy and mean, thanked Fred for making him smile. Fred had shown everyone that it was okay to be different and to embrace your uniqueness. The other animals in the pond had learned to appreciate each other's quirks and differences, and they all lived happily ever after, dancing and having fun together. Chapter 3, The Crocodile's Joke. After the dance competition, Fred had become quite popular among the animals in the pond. One day, as he was hopping around, he ran into the crocodile. The crocodile was known for being the grumpiest animal in the pond, but he seemed to be in a better mood than usual. "Hey, Pink Frog," said the crocodile. "Why did the chicken cross the playground?" Fred looked at him, confused, and said, "I don't know, why?" "To get to the other slide," replied the crocodile with a chuckle. Fred burst out laughing, and the other animals who had gathered around to listen also started laughing. They had never heard the crocodile tell a joke before, and it was quite funny. Even Fred couldn't stop giggling. The crocodile was pleased with himself for making everyone laugh, and he smiled a little bit. From that day on, the crocodile started telling more jokes, and he even started to hang out with Fred. They would often be seen sitting by the pond, swapping jokes and laughing together. The other animals couldn't believe the change in the crocodile's demeanor. He was no longer grumpy and mean, but rather friendly and humorous. It was all thanks to Fred and his positive influence on the pond. Fred had taught everyone the importance of laughter and how it could bring people together, even the grumpiest of animals. The pond had become a happier and more joyful place, and Fred was proud to have played a part in making it that way. Chapter 4, The Turtles Challenge. One day, as Fred was hopping around the pond, he ran into the turtle. The turtle was known for being the slowest animal in the pond, but he was also very friendly. The turtle greeted Fred and said, "Hey, Pink Frog! I challenge you to a race." Fred was surprised but also excited for the challenge. He had never raced a turtle before, and he was eager to see who would win. The other animals gathered around to watch as Fred and the turtle got ready to race. The race began, and at first, the turtle seemed to be ahead. But Fred was determined to win, and he started hopping faster and faster. The other animals cheered them on, urging them to go faster. To everyone's surprise, Fred ended up winning the race. He was so happy that he jumped up and down, and all the other animals cheered. The turtle congratulated Fred on his win, and they both laughed and had a good time. The other animals were amazed at how fast Fred could hop, and they all congratulated him on his victory. They had never seen a frog hop so fast before. Even the crocodile was impressed. Fred had shown everyone that it was okay to try new things and take on challenges. He had also taught them that even if you don't win, it's important to have fun and enjoy the experience. From that day on, the pond was filled with laughter and joy, and Fred was the hero who had brought everyone together. Chapter 5, The Stormy Night. One night, a big storm hit the pond. The wind was blowing, and the waves were crashing against the shore. All the animals were scared, and they huddled together for safety. Fred was worried too, but he tried to stay brave. As the storm raged on, Fred hopped around, telling jokes and making silly faces. At first, the other animals were still scared, but as they listened to Fred's jokes and saw his silly antics, they started to relax. They started to laugh and forget about their fear. Fred's positive attitude and humor had a calming effect on the pond. The animals realized that even in the midst of a scary storm, there was still room for laughter and joy. As the storm passed, the animals all thanked Fred for keeping their spirits up during the tough time. They had all learned an important lesson from him. They had learned that even in the darkest of times, there is always room for laughter and joy. Fred had shown everyone that laughter was the best medicine. He had also taught them that in times of trouble, it's important to stay positive and to be there for each other. The pond had become a happier and more united place, and Fred had played a big part in making that happen. Chapter 6, The New Friend and Acceptance of Differences. After the stormy night, a new animal appeared in the pond. It was a tiny, green frog named Frankie. He was shy and didn't know anyone in the pond. Fred saw him and hopped over to say hello. He introduced himself and asked Frankie if he wanted to play. At first, Frankie was hesitant. He had never met a pink frog before, and he wasn't sure if he would fit in. But Fred was friendly and funny, and he quickly put Frankie at ease. The two of them hopped around, telling jokes and playing games. The other animals in the pond noticed that Fred had made a new friend, and they were happy for him. They also welcomed Frankie and made him feel at home. They showed him around the pond and introduced him to everyone. Frankie and Fred soon became best friends. They would hop around the pond together, exploring new places and having fun. The other animals loved them both and admired their friendship. They had learned that it was okay to be different and that it was important to accept others for who they are. The pond had become a more accepting and inclusive place, and it was all thanks to Fred and his positive influence. He had taught everyone the importance of embracing differences and finding joy in life. The animals in the pond had all learned an important lesson, that it didn't matter what you looked like or where you came from. All that mattered was the kind of friend you were. Fred had brought the animals together, and he had shown them that laughter and positivity were the keys to a happy life. The pond had become a better place because of him, and everyone loved him for it.